Welcome friends, to the very first episode of Where's the Beef? My name is Marcus. I'm going to be your host on this journey. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun trip down learning to podcast lane. You know, this is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. I've been a big fan of podcasts for years and years now, and I've always wanted to do one. And so, you know, I decided to use this quarantine time and just say fuck it, you know, and just do it. What does it take? It takes downloading some software, getting some headphones, and fucking doing it, you know. So this is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm excited. I'm really excited. My plan is to bring on friends and people that I've worked with over the years and just discuss current events, what's going on in their lives. What do they want to talk about? You know, are they a fan of music? Let's talk about some music. Are you a fan of video games? Let's talk about video games. You know, you're worried about the upcoming election in November? Well, let's discuss that. You know, are you right wing? Are you left wing? Or what do you got going on? We can discuss whatever. I'm down to have some fun, meaningful conversation. You know, but that's what I want to do. I want to bring some people on and have a good time. And well, that's what we're here for. So, without further ado, let's get into episode number 1. So what is this first episode going to be about? I don't know. You know, I'm just winging it here. And you guys are along for the ride, you know. It's 10 o'clock p.m. on a Friday night. I'm sitting out in my car, got a joint ready to spark, and trying to party hard. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So let's do this thing. Let's get into it. What are we gonna get into? Let's figure this out here, guys. Let's figure this out. Let's start with COVID-19. You know, COVID-19. I mean, everybody's talking about it, I guess. You know, it's a fucking bonkers pandemic, the likes of which the world has never seen. You know, I'm not gonna lie. At the end of last year, I was looking forward to 2020. I had gotten a promotion at my job, moved to a salary position. Feeling pretty good about it, you know. 27 years old, making the most money I'd ever had before, you know. 2 young kids, excited about the future. And 2020 rolls around and starts off great, right? You know, we had a good January, a good February, a lot of good stuff, and then March comes along, and March seems like it's going to be normal. You know, time's flying by pretty quickly, and the next thing we know, we're hearing about this flu, this virus coming out of China, and it's got a pretty nasty infection rate, and the death toll's a little high, but there's not a lot of information about it. So it's a whole new virus. No one's ever heard about it before, you know. And a couple days after we're hearing about it, it seems like, maybe a couple weeks, maybe time has made it hard for me to remember how much time had passed between it being a small deal and becoming a very large one very quickly. You know, it seemed like on Monday we're joking around about this new virus, and by Wednesday the NBA and it seems like the rest of the sports world had went ahead and canceled their seasons. You know, and when the NBA cancels their season, that's unprecedented. You know, the world shuts down. You know, one by one we start hearing about states closing, and man, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was scared as fuck, big time, man, big time. I was very worried, very nervous. I didn't know what was gonna happen. The next thing we know, you can't find toilet paper anywhere. You know, hand sanitizer's gone. And you don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, you know. Had some really tough conversations with Adela, my girlfriend. For those of you who don't know, I'm assuming if you're listening to this that you are well aware of my girlfriend, spicy Latina named Adela. But yeah, we started having these weird conversations that just, they seemed like they were having so much weight on how it was going to affect us for so long because of how scared I was. I'm not going to lie. Because of how scared I was. Spent $300 on food in 2 days and stuff like that. Something you just don't normally do, And what happens? Like I said, the states started closing down one by one, and jobs started sending people home and only working if you're an essential employee. 25% jobless rate or whatever, unemployment rating. And man, it was a scary time to be starting. And then one of the biggest issues, not the biggest, I think the biggest issue is probably the death count and the infection count of COVID. But one of the biggest issues that I had was all this information that doesn't match up. You hear one thing, the CDC says, not the CDC, excuse me, the World Health Organization, the WHO, the World Health Organization says, wear masks. Everybody needs to wear masks. 2 days later, no masks. Nobody wear masks. 2 weeks later, mandatory masks. Everybody wears masks. You have to wear masks. And then now, of course, in 2020, everything has to be politics. It has to be Democratic or Republican. It has to be left-wing or right-wing. And so now even the mask conversation has gotten that far where if you want to wear a mask, then you must be progressive. And if you hate masks, then, well, I guess you're conservative. I guess you're right-wing. You're pro-Trump. You wear a mask. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how wearing a mask is political? That doesn't make any sense to me, But I wasn't expecting for this to take a turn down politics road. That's not a topic I'm super informed on. Let's try to turn this back towards just the craziness that was COVID-19, right? So people start working from home, and I was deemed an essential employee. I work for a company that distributes materials used to make circuit boards. A lot of the companies that I sell products to have contracts with military and healthcare and stuff like that. Aerodynamic companies that work on airplanes and all this crazy stuff. So I was deemed essential, and I had to wake my butt up the next day and get to work like you're supposed to. And at first I was a little upset. Sure, I wanted to stay at home. Everyone else is staying home. They're getting paid. I want to stay home and get paid. And then I thought about it, and I realized it's, you know what? It's actually kind of good that I get to keep my job. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling, that they're not getting paid while they're off. They're having a hard time getting unemployment because 20% of the country is searching for unemployment. So that's all backed up. And yeah, we got a $1,200 check. That's pretty nice, but what's $1,200 gonna do? I live in the Chicagoland area. $1,200 won't even cover a month's rent. So that's not it's not the most helpful. So I came around, and I'm like, you know what? I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm deemed essential. I'm happy that I get to keep my job and stay working. But and we thought the world was crazy, and I thought, hey, things can't get worse. We're in a global pandemic. We're looking at a recession that the world has never seen before. A depression that's gonna make the Great Depression of the 20s and 30s look like nothing. But like I said, I lucked out. I was able to keep my job and keep working. But like I said, that wasn't the end of it. That wasn't the end of it. What happens? We're all stuck inside our houses. Not all of us. Some of us, like myself, were able to continue to work, get out of the house. But a lot of people are stuck in their houses. They're bouncing off the walls. They can't go nowhere. You can't do nothing. You ain't got no money because you ain't working. You know? And what do we see? We're all on YouTube. We're all watching videos all day on Facebook. Watching videos on Facebook Watch. You know? And what do we see? We see a horrific video of a unarmed black man having a police officer, people who are supposed to serve and protect, kneeling on this gentleman's neck for 8 minutes and 36 seconds. I might got the seconds off, and I apologize if that's the case, but it's a long time. It's a long time to be kneeling on somebody's neck with your hands in your pockets looking around, you know? And obviously the world was hurt, and there was a massive uproar, and a lot of people coming out of the woodworks, you know, saying all kinds of different stuff. And the biggest one is Black Lives Matter. Biggest one is Black Lives Matter. We have a long and rough relationship with racism in this country, and that's undeniable. It is undeniable, regardless of if you are a white male, a young Mexican lady, you know, whoever you are. You can't deny that racism has been a big issue in this country for a long time. And even today, in the year 2020, we're still dealing with these systemic racial issues. In this video of this unarmed black man getting murdered by a police officer, it's called what it is. It's murder. It really just blew up the world. It just blew up the fucking world, you know? Rightfully so. There has to be something needs to be done to show our fellow Americans, our black brothers and sisters, that we care about them, and that we're not gonna let this shit happen anymore, you know? And the next thing we know, we have riots, we have protests. We have protests all across the country, starting in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered, and then following the protests, we have riots, because, like I mentioned earlier, people are angry, people are scared, and they're angry, and let's not count out the fact that they've also been stuck inside. They've also been stuck inside for months and months and months, and they're upset, you know, and what happens? What happens after that? Well, we get the riots, and then we get all these people walking around saying all lives matter, blue lives matter, because they don't understand the concept of Black Lives Matter. They're not people who say Black Lives Matter. They're not saying that Asian people don't matter. They're not saying that Mexican people don't matter. They're not saying that white people don't matter. They're not saying that at all. They're specifically saying that the lives of black people matter. And the reason that they need to say that is because there is a consistent, systemic issue of young, well, not just young and old, all different manner of age and women and men of black people being murdered, being shot by the police, being racially profiled by the old white lady next door, by everybody, by anybody and everybody, because of systemic racism and stereotypes and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff, you know. But that's where we are today, and a lot of people are upset about what's going on with the protests. But the protests, I think, are a good thing. I think there's something that needs to be done. There need to be people out in the streets chanting for police reform. For not just police reform, but for a reform of the way that people look and treat black Americans. That's what it boils down to. It's quite ridiculous. It's quite crazy to me that there are so many people out there that can look at something, that can look at a statement like Black Lives Matter, and they can take offense to it. How is a black man saying Black Lives Matter offensive to you as a white man? You know? I'm a white man. I'm a 28-year-old white man. Does that offend me? Of course not. Of course not. Why not? Because I understand through listening, through talking with black people, my neighbors, my friends, people I don't know, and understanding what they're going through, what it's like reading these posts, reading posts of friends of mine that I've known for 10, 15 years, talking about their experiences that I never knew that they had. You know, it's sad. It's really sad and tough. You know, and I think that's another big point on this issue of systemic racism is being a white person understanding that even though you might not realize it, you have been the product of privilege, of specifically me being a white guy, being a male one, right? And then being white. There's been plenty of times I've been pulled over. I've been pulled over 15, 20 times probably, more or less, somewhere in there. And I've never once feared for my life. Have a word about going to jail, of course. Of course, you get scared, you get nervous, you don't know what's going to happen, especially when you're a pothead like myself. You know, but I've never once worried for my life, and it's crazy it's sad and crazy to think that there are people that I know, people that I love and I cherish, that even getting pulled over makes their heart beat faster, makes their palms sweat, because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what the guy is going to be like, guy or girl is going to be like that comes up to their window. You know? It's scary. It's scary. It sucks. It sucks, but this is the life that we live, and this is the opportunity that we have to make a change, to make a difference for the positive, a difference for the positive that can affect everyone, that can affect this world. One of the things being a parent of 2 young children has taught me during this crazy time is it just shows how important it is to teach your children to love everyone, regardless of race, you know, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of what neighborhood they live in, how much money they have, regardless of any of that. You judge a person by their character. You judge a person by their character and what they show you they are, you know. It's like I said, it's a crazy time. It is a crazy time out there. But you know, enough of the sad stuff. Let's get into some fun stuff. You know, let's talk about some fun stuff. This is episode number 1 of Where's the Beef. You know, we've talked enough about the serious stuff. You know, COVID-19, get the fuck out of here. You know, it's time to party, and it's time to party fucking hard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so something new that I've been into, it's probably January, February, been getting really into anime, balls deep into the anime universe. Been a big fan of Dragon Ball Z my whole life. Grew up watching the shit. but never really watched much other anime. You know, for some reason it just never really caught my attention. But like I said, January, February, something happened, something clicked. My buddy turned me on to this show called Black Clover. Oh my gosh. I fucking love it, man. I love it. Big time. I watched 119 episodes in a week and a half or something like that. That's just crazy talk, you know. But when you're talking to people who watch anime, that's nothing. There's some of these shows of 1,000 episodes. You got to get through it, you know. You got to power through it with the binging culture, you know. Yeah, man. Anime's really changed. It's really changed the way that I view television. I've been watching stuff through a different scope. And I think watching anime has been important to me for a couple of reasons. The first of which is understanding different cultures, you know. Watching anime, obviously it's Japanese, it's where it originated. They have a completely different kind of culture over there, man, you know. You never would have realized it. There's a lot of little things, little nuances that I never would have picked up on if it wasn't for watching a fun little animated TV show, you know. But yeah, you know, some of this shit's got to get cut out, you know. Saying 14 times, I'm sure is pretty annoying. So I gotta figure out how to stop doing that. Gotta stop saying so much. Gotta stop saying what I'm saying so much. You know what I'm saying? But that's what this is. This is podcast number 1. It's a test. I'm just talking. I'm rambling. I'm having a good time. I'm gonna edit my intro into here, and I'm gonna record a fun little outro, and we're gonna call it a fucking day. You know? So, all right, guys. Well, just let me know what you think. Like I said, I pointed out a couple issues that I've noticed, but this is episode number 1 of Where's the Beef? I want to be clear that I am not the beef. Let's get this out in the open. Episode 1, we're going to lay it all out there for you guys. I am not the beef. The purpose of this podcast is to find the beef. You know, we're looking for that perfect interview that is a juicy steak, you know, a perfect tenderloin, you know. But yeah, so, I mean, like I said, let me know. Give me some feedback. Tell me what you think. And if you're interested in hopping on here and having some fun convo about whatever the fuck you want to talk about, feel free to reach out. DM me. Let me know. And we'll work something out, you know? All right, guys, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble on about, well, COVID-19, Black Lives Matter. I touched on some anime there for a minute. I didn't get too into it. I felt a little weeby there towards the end. I didn't want to get too into the anime, but maybe I'll have somebody on that's a big fan of anime, and we can get into it and have a fun discussion about stuff like that. But again, this podcast is to have friends on and discuss whatever the fuck they want to talk about, man. You know, whatever the fuck they want to talk about. So, like I said, if you're interested, please feel free to let me know, and let's see where this ride takes us, you know.